Hello everyone, welcome back to another one of my videos. Thought I'd do something a little bit different today. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to master one of my songs that I've been working on. And I'm not going to edit the video, I'm just going to do it all as it happens. So yeah, basically I've got the song finished, it's all written out. And I've exported it, every single track as an audio file. So some of these were synths and some of these were VSTs, and some of them were like actual instrument things. I've got a bit of vocal tracks as well, and I've done a quick mix. And the reason why these are so low is because I've put every single one of these channels onto a VCA fader. And the reason why I've done that is I wanted to get a minus 6 dB level on the mix, and basically to have a minus 6 dB level before mastering, it just gives you loads of headroom to mess about with and get the volumes perfect and the EQs perfect. So if you don't know what a VCA fader does, it's basically this fader will control every single one of these faders. So as I'm mixing, if something starts to go above 0, I don't have to move everything else down. I can just move this, and I'll just remember this number, 5.44. If I move this, all the faders will move up and down. So put that back to 5.44. And basically this will give me a true peak of around minus 6 dB. So if you watch here, I think it peaks at around minus 6 dB. Right, so I'm going to highlight the loudest section of the track, which is probably this end section. I'm just going to create a little loop. And if you don't have it highlighted like that, it's normally like that. If you want to create a loop, you just click on this button down here, activate cycle, and that'll just keep looping this section over and over. Right, so I've got the loudest section of the track ready to go, and I'm going to open up the stereo out. So I like to master things on the same project as my mix, and the reason why I do that is because I often go back to the mix as well when I'm mastering. If something is a bit off, like I've got too much bass, I'd rather just turn the bass down slightly. So that's just something I do. A lot of other people will mix a track and then export it as just a stereo file, but this is the way I prefer to do it. Right, so on these post ones here, the post effects, like the ones below this green line are post and the ones before it are pre-effects. I've got a reference track, and this is a plugin called Reference by Mastering the Mix. I can't recommend this plugin enough. I think I've done a YouTube video on this plugin in the past. And basically you just import songs to it. It'll show you the wave file. You can select certain sections of the song. And yeah, it's just really useful. I can switch between the reference track and my track. And it always bypasses all the effects when you go to the reference track, so you're hearing it as it is. So then you can, if you want to get your track sounding as loud as that one, you can just compare it by switching between the two channels. And we're also going to be using LUFS metering, which is this on the side panel here. Basically LUFS is like the new industry standard. I think Spotify asked people to mix to minus 12 LUFS. I think it's around that. But what I've noticed is most people just try and aim for minus 9 LUFS. And then that way none of these streaming services are pushing the songs like volume. None of them are increasing the volume. So it's better to have quite a loud song, and then it's easier for the streaming services to turn it down on the volume to match everything else. So in this I'm going to be aiming for around minus 10 or 11, I think. Minus 10 or 11 LUFS. And we want to get a true peak of below 0. Right, so let's get going. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put an EQ on. I'm going to have 7 effects on this output chain, so I'm going to put the EQ on. And these are all effects that come with Cubase 10, the Pro version. Some of these effects might not show up in some of the other versions of Cubase, but I'm pretty sure you can get them free on certain websites. Right, the EQ that I like is this frequency one. So I'll open that up. And the reason why I like it is because of this cut. You can do really steep cuts with it. You just cut everything off. And I like to cut around like 30 or 40 hertz. I'm not doing any like electronic music that requires loads of bass, so that sounds good. And I always do a little cut off at the end as well. This is actually my like default setup for this, so just like cuts like that. Right, so let's switch it on and let's do a little mix of this. Now, don't forget we have -6 dB of headroom on this master channel, so we can actually boost this by quite a bit, and as long as we're not going past 0 on here, I'll play the track and show it, then we shouldn't be affecting the track. You can see -7.6 dB, so we can boost this by quite a lot and we'll still won't reach 0. Right, I really want to brighten up the high ends, like the high mids and the higher frequencies. Basically what I'm doing here is just looking for certain bits on the frequency that like sound muddy and dirty, and I'm just filtering them out. Like you normally get muddiness around this area, like this area here just like messes all of your mixes up, so it's a good idea to do a little cut around here, and I'm just brightening up the high end, giving it a little bit of boost on the bass. So I'm basically cutting to get rid of things that I don't want and boosting to exaggerate the things I want. I wouldn't normally do this on the instrument channels. I would always go for cutting on the instrument channels rather than boosting. But on the master, because we've got a lot of room to play with, it's fine to boost. Another tip is just boost the band up quite a lot, so then you can hear like all of that frequency range pretty well. So you can hear like this area here sounds quite nice, so I'll boost this area. And I'm always going to be clicking on this number here to reset this thing, because sometimes if I boost too much it'll clip, and I don't want any clipping at all. I want to keep it all below 0. Another tip is to always keep bypassing what you've done and just listen to it before and after. Make sure that it actually is better, because a lot of the time you mess about with things for a long time and then you bypass it and you're like, it actually sounds better before. So always keep bypassing, just keep an ear on it. Right, I'm not going to spend too long on this. Like, I'll probably spend days doing stuff like this. But for this video, I'm just going to keep it as that for now on that first one. We might come back to it at some point. Right, the next effect I'm going to put on is a stereo enhancer. So that is spatial and panner. I'm going to go stereo enhancer. And I often put stereo enhancers on the individual instrument channels as well, especially with like things like synths and strings, just to widen up the whole stereo field. But I'm going to use it on the master out just to boost it a little bit more. I always find around 130, 40 or 50% is a decent area. Right, so the next effect is a compressor. And these are all the standard stuff that come with Cubase. Nothing special. Right, so what I'm doing with this, first I'm just resetting everything and I'm taking off the auto makeup gain. Because I want to be, like, I don't want any makeup on this at all. I want to keep it at 0. Right, so what this is going to do is it's going to tell me the number, like the amount of decibels that we're getting at the moment, and then I'm gonna try and reduce it by around 3 decibels, and then that should give us 3 less than the original number because we're not making anything up. And that's the plan. So I'm gonna play the track and then I'm gonna bring this fader down until we get -3 decibel reduction here. You can boost this as much as your track needs, really, but I personally find that after around 3 decibel reduction, you start hearing the compression on the mix, which I don't really want. I want to just have a bit of compression, and the compression really brings out the percussion quite a lot. So I'm just using it just to enhance the track. And this actually, if I bypass it, should be a little bit quieter than without it. But that's exactly what I'm going for. I'm just squashing the loud sections down with the compressor, and then we're going to boost it later on. I could boost it here with the makeup, but I want to do a few other effects before we boost anything. Right, the next effect we're going for is another EQ, and so a lot of the times the compression can take away some of your frequencies, and that's one of the reasons why people sometimes EQ after compression. And I do it a lot. Sometimes when I'm doing other tracks that don't really require a decent mastering, like, you know, people are happy with it just being fairly quiet in the background. A lot of the times I'll just do an EQ after the compressor because I just think it's easier to work with, because the compression can really take away some of the stuff you've done. So I've got on this one EQ before the compressor, just to, you know, fix things up. Then we've got the compression, and then we're going to just make sure nothing's taken away on this second one. I forgot to mention as well, I have at the bottom here the reference thing, and I also have this span, and this span is basically an analyzer, a frequency analyzer. So you see the whole spectrum here, and what I aim for normally is like a fairly flat frequency. So if I have like a massive boost here and then that's flat, I'll know that there's a problem with the bass. If I have a massive boost in the high end I'll know there's something wrong there, and I'll have to bring some instruments down or turn down some of the EQs. If I play the track now, you should see it. So that's telling us that we've got nowhere near enough bass. Right, I'm going to leave it at that because I've got headphones on when I'm doing this, and I wouldn't normally mix with headphones on. So that's the best I can get it with these headphones. But, you know, use your ears. Make sure your track is following all of this stuff, and make sure you don't have any boosts or like gaps somewhere in the frequencies. If you have vocals in your track, it's always a good idea to try and mix the music so that you have like a little groove in around the range of your vocals, and that just gives a bit of room for the vocals to sit in. Right, we'll leave it at that. And then the next effect is Magneto 2. And this is a saturator. It basically just adds a little bit of distortion on. I've done some videos about a lot of these plugins on my channel, so go back. I've recently uploaded them, so go and have a look through them if you want to find out more about these plugins. Right, so Magneto 2, I'm just going to reset everything. And this dial here is like the low frequency, so what I find is that if you put it below 400, you sort of lose some of the bass. So I find keep it around 400 and you're fine. It doesn't really, you don't lose any bass on the actual bass channel though. It's just if you put it on the master output, you sort of lose bass, and I don't really know why that is. I'm going to put dual mode on. I don't know why, I just think it sounds a little bit better. I'm going to boost this high up to around 8K because we've got quite a bit of high end on this. And I'm going to put the high frequency adjust on. I'm going to boost this to around 20 or 30%. Just really using my ears to see it. I don't want to do too much because you just sort of ruin your track if you do too much. I'm going to boost this high frequency as well. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is soft clipper. I can't remember where the soft clipper is. It's a distortion. There we go. And basically what this does is when you have your audio wave of the final mix down, it's you get loads of these spikes, and basically what the soft clipper does is it just takes away some of them spikes, and that means that you can boost it to 0 dB without it clipping, and you get more of the body of the wave rather than the little spiky bits. That's my way of putting it. Right, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to boost the input until we get to minus 0.1 dB. So all this time we've been working with like minus 6 dB or less, and now we're going to boost it to minus 0.1. If you go over it, just click on the number there and then lower the input. I'm trying to also fix the level on the recording for the track, so I'm turning it down on OBS so it's not too loud. That looks good for that. And now is the final thing. I'm gonna put on maximizer. Where's maximizer? There it is. Right, I'm gonna switch this to modern. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna turn this wheel up to around 20%. I'm gonna set this to minus 0.1. And basically, I don't want to see any red here, because if you have red here, we're going to have to adjust the clipper again. And I'm going to boost it until we see it should be around 11 or 12 RMS here. And on this true peak, I want to make sure we don't go above 0. So I'm going to boosting this should bring us the reduction up here, so we should start seeing some reduction. And then if we get true peak, I'm just going to turn this output down. Right, what I'm looking for is around 10 LUFS. Like, you can go for -9 if you wanted, but the integrated one here is pretty much like you have to keep resetting this if you want to do it this method, because integrated means like the overall thing, so it's going to give me an average over the length of time that I play it for. So that's the reason why I keep clicking this to reset it. I think we're a bit too loud at the moment. I'll see here we've got a clip of 0.3. I don't want any of that, so I want to bring this down by a little bit. That'll do, I think. I think that pretty much shows how to master a track, or how I would master a track. I'm not claiming to be an expert by any means on mastering, so if you have any tips for me, then let me know in the comments, because I'm always looking to learn new things. But this is the way I've come to do it, like through years of messing about with mastering. Like my chain, my effects chain has changed so much, like even in the past year. So I don't know, maybe in a few months I'll even change this chain, but this is how I'm doing it at the moment, and this is how I find to get the best results and the clearest sound. Like a lot of the times I've been trying to push the volume and it just starts distorting and the quality gets really bad, and it's basically because I was clipping and not knowing it. So using this method, I can work out why it's clipping. I'm also pretty sure that none of the mix is clipping on the channels, because we start off at -6 dB. So I know that if there's any clipping at all, it's got to be one of these effects, and it's usually the soft clipper that does it. Right, so yeah, that's how I master music. That's how I master my songs. Let me know how you get on in the comments. This reference track, by the way, I'll show you now, because these should be around the same levels. I'll play this track and then I'll switch it over to my reference track. can even solo certain things as well. So this is just the bass. I can see if the bass is similar to mine on the reference track. Right, so there you go. Let me know how you get on in the comments, and if it's helped in any way, then leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.